So we can talk about it now? Okay. So if you're seeing this video, that means that reMarkable has finally announced the reMarkable Paper Pro Move. And that also means we finally get to talk about the reMarkable Paper Pro Move. But we're going to do a little bit more than just talk about it. Today, we're actually going to unbox it for the first time. I've not actually gotten to use this device. And see what real life first impressions of it are from someone who uses a reMarkable Paper Pro every single day. How does this new, smaller device augment existing workflows that I have? Does it replace some things that I've historically done with the Paper Pro? Does it open up new things that maybe I hadn't considered doing before? We'll try and piece together those questions as I try to piece together those questions. And you'll get to kind of come along for the ride and see my thought process and the inevitable things that I mess up and forget while doing this all completely live. So buckle up and we'll dive into that right now. Well, actually, before we dive into that, I do need to share with you something I've been working on for a really long time, and that is Playlist. It's the calendar that helps you actually get meaningful things done. It has a dedicated planning view that looks a lot like a calendar that you're familiar with, but a key change here is a dedicated doing view because important things and things that require focus happen one task at a time. In this case, it's time to finally unbox the reMarkable Paper Move and share it with you guys. If you're interested in checking out Playlist, you can visit the site at playlist.day and join the waitlist. Thanks. Let's get to it. So this is my reMarkable Paper Pro that I use every single day. It's actually a landing page for Playlist that I've been working on that I need to finish for when this video goes live. But in here is the smaller reMarkable Paper Pro Move. And let's take a look. Let's see how this fits alongside the existing reMarkable Paper Pro. So looks like it's about half the width and a little bit taller. Then we've got the Book Folio in here as well. Let's come back to the Book Folio. Let's check out the actual Paper Pro Move. Here goes nothing. Hopefully this is recording. You only get one go at this. Let's take a look. All right, so in the box, I think the things that you would expect: welcome, quick start guide, someone who uses a reMarkable a lot, nothing too crazy here, how to change nibs, how the stylus goes to the side and how to turn it on. All pretty standard fare there. I assume this is going to be FCC warnings. Yeah, perfect. Stylus, USB-C, USB-C to C, all the same stuff that you get with a reMarkable Paper Pro. These are going to be additional marker nibs in a fun little case that lets you stab in there and grab new ones. I think I've only done this once and I use this all the time, so the nibs actually do last a good while. The stylus is the same reMarkable, the Marker Plus. This is the same Marker Plus that's on the Paper Pro. It's identical. The nib is used a little less, but that just is because it's new. Everything else about it is identical. Yeah. We'll keep them straight just for organization purposes. And all right. There is a different back. That is the first thing you'll notice. It's actually the same material that's used on the marker. So it's got a little bit of grippiness versus on the Paper Pro. It's a Apple style aluminum. This is a, I don't want to call it rubber because I don't know that it's actually rubber, but some combination. It feels something in between rubber and plastic. Like somewhat absorbent, but not significantly so. Just lends a little bit of additional grip to the device. Oh, okay, hold on. This is going to be the first question. Can you put the stylus on the other side? No. Okay. That probably would have been difficult, but I do have to say I would have liked that. So the marker only goes on the right side, which if you're right-handed is great. If you're not right-handed, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Just have the Paper Pro move. And let's turn it on. Let that go for a bit. Let's do some size comparisons while that is turning on. So something that is somewhat noteworthy is the width of this, or the height of the move, is the same width as the Paper Pro. The screens are obviously a different size, but the width is similar. Maybe not exactly the same, but pretty darn close. For all intents and purposes, it's the same. The edge of the device is the same. All right, let's get started. My marker is charging. Keep it attached. All right, so this is a very similar intro to what the Paper Pro does. Let me log into my Wi-Fi. Hold tight. It's connected. Next. There is an update. So while that update is doing its thing, let's check out the Book Folio. So where are you, Book Folio? Here you are. So this is the on-the-go folio for the reMarkable Paper Pro Move, which is probably more important than the one on the Paper Pro. I quite enjoy the one on the Paper Pro. It's very nice when you're on the go. I just find that it's a little thick for writing at my desk. I find that I take it off if I'm going to stay here for any period of time. But on the go, it's delightful. Especially because it has this little notch where this flap will lay so that it doesn't wobble, which is a nice touch. It's very well designed, and it's got these little indentations for the device itself. So here, we'll just drop that in there. It'll only go in there one way. It's designed very intentionally. Like if we were to try to put it in the other way, it won't go in there. It's very clever. So there we go. Oh, it's cute. It's a tiny little reMarkable. I do want to call out that this shape is very interesting to me. They could have taken a reMarkable Paper Pro and just shrunk it down smaller. But notice that they didn't do that. It's this tall, narrow device. And I have to think that that is so that you can hold it in one hand more easily and have it feel more secure. I don't know that for certain, but that seems like what this likely is from. Okay, I'm going to pair my device really quickly. I'm going to fast forward while I do that because you all do not need my credentials. Now it is pairing. All right. It is activated. Let's go take a look. Passcode. Not for now. How to get back to it. I am a lefty. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't pull this from my Connect settings. You'd have to think that it knows that I'm a lefty at this point. Handwriting search. So it comes with 322. That's awesome. This is kind of fascinating. Hold on. Is there a dedicated layout for the content on this device? Let's go over here. Go to release notes. Okay. So these are the release notes. I turned it off. So these are the release notes on the Paper Pro. These are those same release notes on the Paper Pro Move. It's all the same content. I'm curious to see, do they actually design two versions of this, or is there some reflow technology? I don't know. We'll find out. Let's continue on. Okay, movable toolbar, new icons. Yeah, it's exciting. Let's get started. Oh, this is so cool. It's my reMarkable, but vertical. All right, so let's take a look at that same page in playlist. So I will put this over here. I'll have this over here, and we'll have a side-by-side comparison of what to expect. So we get an orientation on the tools. Again, I've already done this before. Why would you default me to green? I guess they want color. Ballpoint pen, yes. All right, and it gives me the scaling here at the bottom. So let's take it for a spin. Let's see what we think. So by default, the toolbar goes to the top instead of the left or the right. Makes sense. You have more vertical real estate in this orientation than you do the other. So that makes sense. We can now drag this to the bottom. And our scaling now goes to the top. That makes good sense. The other thing that you're probably going to want to be able to do on this device is turn it sideways. So how does that feel? Can I write on this? It's pretty snappy. I always find it really interesting when you use an e-ink tablet for the first time. It doesn't have any hand oils on it yet. And it always has a slightly different writing feel the first time you use it. And then over time, it gets to sort of how it's going to feel more generally. I mean, this feels like a reMarkable. Okay, this is how the eraser works. Yes, I'm aware. So we could remove this section, bring it back with double finger tap. We could remove it again with triple finger tap. This is a reMarkable. We can zoom in. Okay, so we're now at 1x. So let's see. So if we were working on this, I would probably get rid of this sidebar because I'd want the extra room. But could I scribble notes on this? So let's create a new page. So what is the scaling now if I'm starting completely new? So I think I want to take it out of this for writing. Similarly to the regular Paper Pro, I prefer it just on the desk. And actually, I'd probably prefer it this way because I like having a spot for my hand to rest. So if I were just taking daily notes, I would take today's date. it feels like a reMarkable. It feels exactly like you would expect a smaller reMarkable for on the go to feel like. I mean, maybe not the size you would expect, like this. I think what's interesting is this choice of aspect ratio, where you've got most of the width of a reMarkable 2. Let me find my reMarkable 2. When I use the reMarkable 2, I always use it landscape. However, if you were to take the reMarkable 2, yeah. So this is actually slightly wider in landscape mode than a reMarkable 2. So if you're only writing a line or two at a time, it's actually the same amount of space. You don't have as much vertical space, but as long as you scroll, which the reMarkable is great at scrolling, this could be really interesting. So you could have a laptop computer in front of this, and then just have this little thing that you write on in front of it. I think that's likely going to be how I use this when I'm on the go. So if I'm going to a co-working space, I might not bring the Paper Pro with me. I like the Paper Pro a ton when I'm here at my desk, which I am here at my desk most of the time. But I do go out to work from time to time, and this could be really handy for that. So could we sketch something? So like I can definitely take notes here. So this opens this device to be used more by me. I think I'll probably use it in portrait on the go. But I think, so when I say on the go, I mean if I were actively moving. So if I were talking to someone and trying to jot down notes while doing that, then I would use it this way. So if I'm sitting down doing focused work, I'll probably use it landscape, but on the go. But if I'm actively moving, so if I'm having a conversation with someone or having lunch with someone and not at a stationary desk, I would probably use it in the vertical orientation. So here, let's see if we can get this to focus. Yeah. So this is likely how I would jot notes if I were out and about. So you hold it in one hand. Let's create a new page. I assume this is going to be full width. Can I write on this? So you still do the hold. Everything that you can typically do, you can do here. So I would put a date because that's what I do. I'm going to develop some hand strength because this thing actually has like a little bit of weight to it. It's got that same strong like build qualities of the Paper Pro, but just smaller, but it's got some weight. I'm going to get a hand workout if I hold this up a lot. So has some heft, has some heft. The writing feel is still fantastic. That is excellent. Has the same build quality. Like, I don't think you're going to have any issues breaking it. This choice of finish on the back is excellent. I like that a lot. Sorry, getting the camera to focus a little tricky. I wonder how it handles when there's more content. So if there's a lot more here, does it change? No, it's the same. So you can scroll a page at a time by just sliding. Then if you want precision, you hold and drag. Yeah, feels like what you would expect. Feels good. So let's go in. We don't need those lines. Oh, that's interesting. It shows you the margin difference. So when we scroll, I wonder what those margins indicate. So they want you to stay within that middle part. Oh, okay. So that's the 100% zone. Okay. So those are the typical page bounds. And then they give you a little bit extra because in landscape, you have a little bit more room to work with. I see. This makes sense. So if you were writing in landscape, there would be more. Now, if I write outside the margins, what happens to it? Okay, it'll actually scale it down. So if I set it back to 100%, and then I flip, I can see it. And then if I come back, okay. So it'll always make sure that you can see what you wrote. Now, if I cleared up out of the margins, what happens now? So if there's nothing outside the margins, oh, it detects the margins live. No, it does not detect the margins live. Okay, let's try this. So if I go landscape now, and if I go portrait, okay, yeah, so it goes back to 0.6 by default. Interesting. Wonder how it decides that. All right, let's go in here. We don't need that. Get rid of those. No? You're not gonna let me get rid of it? So when you draw too close to the edge and you draw off of the edge, it loses your selection. All right, this is cool. Definitely toolbars off most of the time. All right, what else do we think about this device? Okay, I think I was holding it wrong. This is exhausting, at least for me. I broke this wrist before, so that's one thing. I think holding it like this feels way more comfortable. So like that. Oh, hello. Did I read? I redid it. Let's get rid of those. Go away. Okay, let's see. Yeah, this grip is way better. So something I do notice is when you're holding it, you do put a lot of pressure into the back of this. Hopefully they've accounted for that. There's actually a little bit of flex there in the middle. So this is a back plate of some kind of like the original reMarkable has. And you can feel it flex a little bit when you push. I mean, it's metal behind it. I can tell that there's something rigid behind it, but this piece can flex. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's very slight. Let me see, does the reMarkable 2 do that? reMarkable 2 backplate is acrylic. No. you don't feel that. I mean, you can flex the device. I don't recommend doing that, but you can. I think it's just this material is a little bit softer. Again, nothing wrong with it. Let's do some more writing. Okay, why aren't you changing orientation? Change orientation. There we go. I do wonder if it should remember that I keep scaling this back to 100%. So I like the grip. The weight isn't as bad as I thought. Okay, what else do we think? All right, that's getting downright annoying, actually. The fact that I change orientations temporarily and then it forgets it is actually very annoying. I don't want to set this back. Like, don't make me do this each time. Yeah, that might be something they should fix with a software update. Remember that the user resized this page, at least for this session, and keep that on a page-by-page basis. I mean, I think it works more or less the way you would expect. Can I use it this way? That actually works better than I would have thought. I mean, you do end up with more wobble as you press, at least when I press. So like my handwriting is maybe not as clear, but in general, that kind of works. All right, let's set it back down. The other cool thing about the new reMarkable update that is especially handy on the move is search. So I just wrote these words. If I search for heft, does it find it? No. I mean, I spelt it weird. Let's try quality. Okay, so I have to leave the document before it's going to pick up on these words. Let's leave. Oh, handwriting search is now kicking in. Let's come back into here. Will handwriting search work now? Heft. No. This worked well when I tested it on my other reMarkable. I don't know. Maybe it's not instant. Maybe there's some delay there. Landscape mode for the win. It's awesome. Yeah, I could use just this. I'm not going to do like huge brainstorming sessions. I find that how big of an idea I'll tackle scales with the size of the paper. This is why people use those large sticky pads when they're doing like free thinking. So you're not going to do like huge free thinking on this, but for just jotting some notes or napkin sketches on the go, it's pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about price, because I do think that's an interesting one. Let's see, what are they saying the price is going to be? All right, pricing. So the reMarkable Paper Pro Move is available for $449 with the base marker and $499 with the marker plus. And so how does that compare to existing Paper Pro? So the Paper Pro is $629. So $449 versus $629. We are clearly in luxury territory. This is one of those devices that you really need a recommendation to jump in and try. I think there are certain people that once they try it, they, like me, they'll love it and it changes the way they work. I now screen share with my colleagues whenever I'm ideating and they can see what I'm sketching as I'm sketching it. And we're a few hundred miles away from each other. Until you've experienced that, it's kind of hard to justify the cost. With that said, if you're someone who writes a lot or sketches a lot or needs to take notes on the go, and you want to keep those notes and be able to share those notes, I think you can definitely get that kind of value out of it. But it's a tough leap, especially if money's tight. This is not a device where if financially $499 or $449 feels like a ton of money, it might not be the right fit. This is definitely one of those devices for me where whether I produce things of quality or whether I don't matters to my career. So this is a small investment for me to be able to make in the grand scheme of things. But if that's not how you're going to be using this device, you need to take that into consideration because you don't have to have this device to do great work. Maybe it makes it slightly easier to create great work. And that's, I think, why I use devices like this and why I like my reMarkable. So hopefully that helps you with the pricing calculation a bit and helps you calibrate it to you and your use case. I would have to think that reMarkable is hoping that there are people who have the Paper Pro and that will try this, or have the reMarkable 2 and will try this in addition to the device they already have. I review these things for a living, so it's not weird that I would do this. I'm curious to see how many people will add another device to their portfolio. Again, I'm as bought in as you can get on this type of thing, but I'm curious, people who aren't as bought in, how do they think about this? Let me know down in the comments how you're thinking about this and whether this device is interesting to you. I think it's cool because I'm on the go more than I historically have been. Back before Playlist, I worked almost exclusively from home because I was just programming. Now that I'm working on Playlist, I'm ideating and sharing ideas with folks and trying to market and promote the thing I'm building. So me staying at home all the time isn't always the most productive thing. So this starts to get really fascinating when you're on a smaller table. You've got just your laptop. You don't want to lug another device with you that's huge. Paper Pro's pretty big to carry with you. And so this could be an interesting alternative to that when on the go. Will I use this over the Paper Pro at my desk? Probably not. I've got plenty of room right here. I can fit a Paper Pro easily and still have my keyboard. So here, let's move some stuff. I can have my keyboard, have my Paper Pro, and still fit everything just fine. So like space is not an issue at my desk here at home. But when I go to the co-working space, space then does matter. I don't have infinite space to sprawl out. And so this starts to be much more interesting there. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what to expect from the Paper Pro Move. If you're curious about this device and want to learn more about it as I experience it, subscribe to the channel as I'm going to be doing a bunch of content more out and about instead of just here at my desk each time. We're actually going to take the reMarkable Paper Pro Move out on the move to see how it actually gets used. So subscribe for that if you haven't already. Thanks for sticking around. And until next time, cheers.